And I had 2 brothers and 3 sisters. And everyone in the square was very united. We had a Protestant living beside us, and they were the best of neighbours, the Haslems, and you couldn't ask for better. And we used to have a fair on Easter Monday, and every house would be whitewashed. They were nearly all thatched houses. You had Breen Marnies and Katie Angers, Joe Donnellys, P. Caines, Clintons, Murray's, such as there was, and to the Hill House. And outside them walls, when they be all whitewashed for the fair, it'd be wheels of carts, the way the calves wouldn't rub up against them. And in front of Murray's pub, you had loads of bunions, pigs for sale. And anyone that had a few bob, he'd be a din drunk, he'd come out and he'd buy a pig. And there was a black man with a fair for the children. And he used to be, the youngsters used to love to see him coming. He was great. And when the fair would be over, every place would be clean up and it'd look great again. Breen Marnie shop, you get anything and everything in it, from a nail boot to a sweet. And he was liked and loved by everyone. And that's all the shop at the time that I'm talking about was in Lusk. After that there was another shop over where Joe Carton is living now, and Mr. Fleming had it. He had a little shop and he used to sell cigarettes and all that. But then there was no shop came into it till lately, and that was when Jimmy Rogan had a shop, and he had everything too, no matter what you wanted. And the sale yard was great. When the day came, everyone brought their cattle to it, and I used to get a job driving them round the ring, and you'd be glad to get that few bob when night would come, because there was no other work. No matter where you went, you got nothing, and that's all.
No, wait.
Yeah.
Start now.
Yeah. The GAA was always very strong in Lusk. They always had a great hurling team. As far back as I remember, when I was only a young lad, they had a good hurling team, and they used to play regular on Jones's Road, not Croke Park then, it was Jones's Road. And they used to play the Knoll, had another great hurling club. And they built the ball alley. And the GAA Lusk and the Rooney's Raheny gave them a free ground to hurl on. And when that ball alley was a building, there was a division in Lusk at the time. There was two bodies, 2 different crowds, and they cut the scaffolding one night, and the man that was building it was Matt Kelly of Corduff, and when he got up on the scaffolding it went, with the result that he got a broken leg. And then that left it worse. But the handball used to be great. There were some great players, including a priest in the parish named Father O'Keefe. He was an out-and-out foot handballer, and there used to be great games. And now it wasn't for nothing. It was money. It'd be put in the corner, 2 aside, and there was some great games, and the people used to all go over to look at it. And then there was a man beside it had a little shop. Mr. Condon Corduff was his name. He came there and he built a new house and had a little shop, and the lads used to get their cigarettes and whatever they wanted, and everything used to be great. And that's where the Black and Tans used to come. It was over to the GAA club for to see who was there that they wanted, and that's all. Bush, and then I'll give you the wrestling.
Okay, go ahead.
The May bush, there was hell in the back lane. We used to, when we was children, we used to look forward to this May bush, the 1st of May, and we used to collect for it. We get pennies and tuppences, and we bring it all round to Hannah Dinnis, that lived in the house with Mrs. Murphy and Frank Murphy, and we'd have a great night going round the May bush, singing and getting sweets, and it used to be good for that night. That was all, because it was only just for the one night, and just to say that you had a May bush, and you just go round and sing, and then when you'd be all finished, the sweets would be hanging on the bush, and you'd get a bag of them.
And the other subject?
Wrestling.
Wrestling.
The wrestling.
Now the wrestling used to be held in the bang-ups. There was a ham for the winner. Collar and elbow wrestling, not like the wrestling you see on the television now. And then they had it over in Murtha's Field on the Loch, and they used to come from Rush and everywhere for to compete. And we had a great man in Lusk for wrestling, Willie Bentley. But generally he was bet in the final be one of the McGuinnesses of Rush. But it used to be a great day. It used to be good, because everyone, as I say, you'd know where else to go to, and you'd always go over, and it was a case of that everyone was wrestling. You could go in at any weight you like and see would you win, but no one ever got hurted. There was no rows, no nothing. Everyone took it in good faith. That's all. I was baptised in the old church, and if you want to see the old church in Lusk, anyone that's interested, they can go to Jeremy Brown, that lives up here in St. Cronan's, and he has a picture, or Jack Brown's wife, Lord have mercy on him, has a picture of the old church in Lusk, and that's where I made my first communion, and I remember it well. We were all entertained after the communion, and we got an egg for our breakfast. And as far as the confirmation was concerned, I was confirmed, I was woken, because the new chapel that's in Lusk now was only getting built. So there was a good few of us that should have been confirmed, but we no chapel. So then we were confirmed at the little chapel that's above beside May Russell. That's where I was confirmed, and I came from work, and I tell you what I was doing. I was serving a thatcher on my own home. A man by the name of Tom Doyle was thatching the house, and I was serving him, and I had to go up for singing lessons every day. But when it came to the confirmation, the bishop that confirmed us, I can't tell you his name, but all the fellas that was over age and that was working were put together, and he asked us very little, and we were confirmed that day, and that's a good while ago. That's all.
Was born in
But
May.
what's your date of birth?
The 11th of May. I was born 1907, the 11th of May 1907 in Lusk, and I think the curate that baptised me was Father Tower, and Father Tower was an out-and-out IRA man, and he lived above on the green opposite the school, and the teacher that was in the school that taught me in the school was Mr. Devine, and he was a great man too, an Irish man, and the school misters was Miss Mulligan. And then there was a Miss Long after that. She died and she was buried in Rush. And two of us went to her funeral. But Mr. O'Brien was an out-and-out teacher, and I learnt me football on the green in Lusk with Joe Cairn that lived in the square. The Cairns, Joe and Jimmy, they were great neighbours, and I lived in the square, and I used to be driving an arson car that they had, and when the ball alley was a building, I was drawing water with another arson car, and there was a rhyme out at the time that Taylor had an arse and Rooney had a ginnet, and I bet you 10-1 that Rooney's arse will win it. That's the way it was mixed up. Rooney had an arse and Taylor had a ginnet, and I bet you 10-1 Rooney's arse will win it. But we were all looking to get the drive the arse to draw the barrels of water over for the building, in the ball alley. And I was a young lad at the time. You'd be more water on your clothes and boots you'd have in the bar. But it was great fun at the time. And
Tell me, the RIC barracks, do you remember anything about the police and the RIC?
I do. I was walking with my father. He used to keep me walking at night in the lane. And the sergeant came to him to ask him, would the father give me for a few minutes that they locked themselves out of the barrack. The sergeant's name was Mr. Sergeant Brady. Sergeant Brady. So I was brought up and housed in the top window and went down to let them in, but I noticed when I went into the room that it was full of sandbags and rifles. And the next thing, the barrack was closed and they were all transferred in to Rush. And the IRA attacked the barrack one night in Rush, and Sergeant Brady was shot through the door. And everyone was sorry for him because he was a lovely man in Lusk. There was no one had any spite in for him because some of them were great. There was only one bad joke in it, and that was a fella by the name of Lynch. And he was the fella that used to bring the black and tans round and show them the houses where all these IRA lads lived. Only for that they would have never known. And one night he was going with a lorry load of black and tans over at Block, and someone fired on them down near the Minister's Road. There was a crowd of IRA lads fired on them, and Lynch was shot in the middle of them. He was standing in the middle of them, but one of them got him, and again they went to